Year's 2004. Every single person in the car industry makes fun of General Motors for not having a big four-door sedan that can go around a corner and that's fast and it's rear-wheel drive. So General Motors decided, we're not taking this anymore. We're not taking this crap anymore. We're going to make a sedan that can go fast around a corner, that can go fast in a straight line and can stop. So what do they make? Well, they make the Cadillac CTS-V. The 2004 Cadillac CTS-V. This was one wild car. So you know what they did, GM? This is what they did. Listen, guys. They took the LS6 from the Corvette Z06. You know the wild C5 Corvette Z06? The 1997 2004 Corvette C5, the best one they ever made, the Z06 in that generation. They took that engine, LS6 V8, pushing out 400 horsepower, 5.7 liter, just screams for days, and they put it in the Cadillac CTS-V. Wild. So guys, listen, by this time, Cadillac was developing the reputation that it was grandma and grandpa's car. That's not good. They wanted to compete with BMW, who were making crazy M5 cars, M3s, even Mercedes. They wanted to compete with luxury cars that were not only a sedan, but a sports sedan. This was their answer, the CTS-V. And not only did they put a big, cool engine, they made it a 6-speed manual, a Tremec 6-speed manual. And they only offered a 6-speed manual because they were like, you know what? Only car guys are going to drive this, because car guys like manual transmission and want to drive a manual transmission. This car got a better engine, better transmission. It had a limited slip differential, standard 373 gears. It had big Brembo brakes up front and in the rear, 4 pistons in fact, and it had bigger tires. Holy smokes. What is that? Solution? You're baking a cake, you're adding the flour, the eggs, and guess what? You come out with an amazing cake. You're coming out with an amazing sports sedan that goes fast, that handles around a corner, and stops. Now we have a sedan that is a 4-door Corvette. Now the 2004 and 2005 CTS-Vs were a little bit flawed in the rear end section. The rear end casing going to actually break apart. It wasn't, heavy duty enough. The car would develop a lot of wheel hop. It had a lot of power, right? Even though it didn't weigh very light, it was 3,800 pounds. It still put down a lot of power to those rear tires. So in 2006, in the 2007 version, they did an upgraded rear differential which would prevent this. Also, guys, in the aftermarket world, they make an upgraded version of this rear differential. And I know what I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be ironic. It's made by Ford. It's a Ford 8.8 rear end that can withstand something like 1,000 horsepower. It's amazing. It does the trick. Chevy, Cadillac, whatever you want to call it, General Motors, should have put this in their cars from the beginning. And guess what? You can now buy it in the aftermarket world. Other than the rear differential becoming better in the 2006 and 2007 Cadillac CTS-V, the other change, which was significant, was they moved away from the LS6 and now put the LS2. And the main reason was that the Corvettes at the time, the C6 Corvette, the 2005 Corvette, started using LS2. It was a bigger displacement. It was a 6-liter over the 5.7 liter LS6. Made the same horsepower there, 400 horsepower. A lot of guys that are purists like the LS6 because, they made that specifically for Corvette. Whereas a 6-liter V8 is like a Vortex engine and that's associated with trucks. But other than that, the 6-liter V8 LS2 is a great engine. So, now enter the Gen 2 legendary CTS-V 2009 to 2015. So listen, I'm pretty sure GM had a lot of wild ideas because the Gen 2 CTS-V was one wild car. And I'll tell you why. And that's thanks to the 3 variants you can get. So not only can get a 4-door sedan, you can get a coupe, you can also get a wagon. A wagon, guys, with 556 horsepower, LSA 6.2 liter supercharged V8. Other than the wild engine they put in that car, that's like a detuned LS9 that you found in the Corvette ZR1, they gave it 6-piston Brembo brakes now. They gave it magnetic ride control, which means that you could take bumps and corners and it adjusts the suspension so fast you can't even think about it. And it also now has more of an elegant interior. The Gen 1 was plasticky. It was nice. You found real aluminum in the Gen 1 interiors, which is great. I still think they're iconic and they look great, the Gen 1 interior. But now the Gen 2, what? Finally, Cadillac can brag about having nice interiors. Not only could you get this wild beast of a car in a 6-speed automatic, you can also get it in a 6-speed manual. Just imagine a 556 horsepower fire-breathing dragon of a Cadillac CTS-V. A Cadillac. Let me rephrase that. A Cadillac. I said a Cadillac. In a wagon with a 6-speed manual. Wow. Now, if you wanted to make power with these cars in the aftermarket world, it was so easy. Think about it. You could just put a smaller pulley, you know, long tube headers, get a tune, and it's making a lot of horsepower. Now, the one flaw with this car was the LSA supercharger. It was actually a recall from GM. It was known to go. You get, you know, supercharger wobble, they would call it, and that's not a good thing. This was a game changer of a car. It was wiping the fields. It was sweeping everyone. It was sweeping the Mercedes, the BMWs, and it still is today with the Gen 3 Cadillac CTS-V. Gen 1 CTS-V was the Sigma platform. The Sigma 2 was the Gen 2, and the Gen 3 and current versions of the Cadillac CTS-V and CT5-V is the Alpha platform. So what's so important about the Alpha platform? Well, it's lighter than the other platforms and it's stiffer than the other platforms. So what does this mean? You get a better handling car. Out was the LSA V8 that produced 556 horsepower, and in was the 6.2 liter V8 LT4 that produced 640 horsepower. Now what? Almost 100 horsepower gain in a Cadillac CTS-V. Holy smokes. Gen 3 Cadillac CTS-V used the same formula as the Gen 2 CTS-V. Big engine up front, big brakes, great suspension. But now the interior was even better quality. However, out was the 6-speed manual and all you got was an 8-speed automatic. Boo-hoo. But it was one awesome car. Now, if you did want a manual, the little brother to the CTS-V was born, the ATS-V. ATS-V was a lighter and smaller and more nimble version of the CTS-V. However, it didn't use a V8, it used a 3.6 liter twin turbocharged V6, putting out 464 horsepower. Now, the ATS-V was one awesome car. And a lot of guys liked that over the CTS-V because it was smaller and more nimble, like I said previously. Now let's skip ahead. The new CT5-V Blackwing. Now on the topic of the manual transmission. The CT5-V Blackwing, which is the new version or the new name of the CTS-V, now has a manual transmission and it has even more horsepower. 668 bald eagles. They're always thinking. I swear they're always thinking. So now they tweak the interior. Now it's even nicer than the previous generations. Just a little bit better. And now it has a bigger, more potent engine. This thing is wild. Literally wild. I can't explain. It's a big 4-door V8 that you can stuff 4 people in. And you have a big trunk. And you have 668 horsepower. Also, the CT4-V Blackwing, which is the little brother, which is the ATS-V, has more horsepower too, 472 horsepower. Like I said, a lot of people like the CT4-V Blackwing because it's more nimble and it's smaller. Now, it doesn't beat the big V8 that the CT5-V Blackwing has. Since 2004, the CTS-V, and now known as the CT5-V Blackwing, also the CT4-V Blackwing, has been competing with European rivals and have been doing better since 2004 in my opinion. The CTS-V was a gift from God. This car just did everything well. It was a sports car and a sedan in one. It's refreshing to see a manufacturer keep a manual transmission in their cars, because at the end of the day, people that like cars really appreciate the manual transmission because it makes you more connected to the road. You got to remember, you're just shifting those gears, you're pushing that clutch, you're doing more than just, you know, the paddle shifts, right? Or, you know, just matting your foot to the floor. It's spirited, and I hope in the future, who knows how cars are going to go, I hope in the future they keep a manual transmission and they keep rear wheel drive, because it's fun and it's enjoyable and it's cool. You can't beat that. General Motors, thank you for bringing this fire-breathing wild animal of a machine to the face of Earth. That's everything I have to say about the Cadillac. If you enjoyed this video, I'm making more like this. And leave a like, leave a follow, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy and bye all.